Hey y'all, I'm back today with a book review. I decided just to bust them all out. I have so many, probably, I don't know, between 60 and 100 book reviews I still need to do. So I'm just going to start recording all of them. Before we get started really quick, I did do my March book haul, but it ended up being an hour long because there's so many freaking books. So I'm going to have to edit it and everything. It'll probably be a while before it's up, but it'll be up eventually. So, in honor of this being my first review video for my channel, I decided that I wanted to do an amazing book. I wanted to review an amazing book, and so I really did not have trouble picking one. When I first decided to do a YouTube channel a few weeks ago, or actually rather a couple months ago, I was thinking that I would do one of my fantasy novels I really like, or there's a couple other books I was kind of debating against, even a Stephen King book I was kind of wondering. But then I read this book, and this book was so good, I did not even hesitate to say this will be the first review I do, because this is such an amazing book. This book is one of my favorite books of all time. Not just of, last month. Of all time, this is one of my favorite books. I can't even... It's called The Memory of Running by McLarty. I had never heard of this book previous to buying it in the thrift store. I read it, and I thought, oh, it sounds interesting. I'll give it a try. I didn't think I'd actually get around to reading it anytime soon, just because it has, not a boring synopsis, but just a very general synopsis. It's about a man named Smithy, and he loses his parents. And by the way, I just have to add that Smithy is kind of a loner. He is a heavy smoker. He's overweight. He doesn't really talk to anybody. He's very nonchalant about everything. Doesn't really care about anything. But anyways, I digress. His parents die in a car accident, and he has to deal with that. And then a few weeks later, he finds out that his sister's body was found in California, and she's in the morgue, and that someone needs to go to identify her. So he finds his childhood bike in his parents' garage, and he decides to go for a little ride. Mind you, he is severely overweight. I'm not talking only a 20 pounds, I'm talking 1 to 200 pounds overweight. So he decides to go on this ride, just to clear his head, but then he ends up riding from New York, where he lives in New York, all the way to California to identify his sister's body. And I thought this was going to be a decent book. I didn't think it was going to be all that, the shebang or whatever. But I have to say, this book proved me wrong. This should be on the New York bestsellers list. I'm telling you right now. This should be a book every college student needs to read. I didn't realize, I should have realized I was going to love this book, because there's a review by Stephanie. Oh my gosh. I should be struck dead by the gods of literature right now. I just called Stephen King Stephanie. Stephen King, not Stephanie King. Stephen King. Obviously, you need to know, my phone's dying, you need to know who Stephen King is. If you don't, go Google, go to a bookstore, go to a thrift store, you'll find him there. And Wally Lamb, which Wally Lamb is a little less known, I think. He wrote, She's Come Undone, and I Know This Much Is True, which I will also be doing book reviews on him. So anyways, Stephen King, Wally Lamb, two very different authors, but two authors I really love. They have great writing style. They both did reviews on this book. I didn't realize that when I bought it. I didn't realize that until after I had read it, but I should have realized it, because if I had known that, I would have known that this was an awesome book. And Stephen King kind of said what I'm about to say. Smithy-Eyed is I never thought I'd find a book like this, but Smithy-Eyed is the adult version of Holden Caulfield from Catcher in the Rye. Just plain, there's no ifs, buts, or ands about it. If there was a book written about Holden, like a sequel to Catcher in the Rye, it would be The Memory of Running. There are differences between the two. The Memory of Running, it focuses a lot on Smithy's past, what he's had to deal with. It kind of jumps back and forth. I will say, I hate spoilers. I'm not going to say specific things that happen in the book. I will say that Smithy-Eyed's sister is crazy. She's psychotic. And it talks about how he deals with that when he's younger. And it talks also about the relationship he has built with people, or the lack thereof of relationships. And it also talks about the encounters he has with people along the way. So, the characters in this book are extremely well developed. The plot is seamless. And like I said, how can I not love a book that reminds me of Holden Caulfield? He's my boy. That's one of my favorite books. This is a very, I would feel, original novel, just because Usually when you see a coming of age story, you see it in young adults, you see it in middle grade, you see the typical 16 to 17-year-old person coming of age, discovering who they are. In The Memory of Running, you're seeing a 43-year-old man be comfortable in his own skin, and basically not make a better life for himself, but feel better about himself and feel like he can build relationships with the people around him. Smithy Eyed is a character that you want to hate because he's such a jerk. You want to hate him because he doesn't care about anything, because he's so nonchalant about everything. He's just kind of there, but you can't hate him because you see yourself in Smithy just like you see yourself in Holden. I think that us as individuals, we want to hate characters like this, and I actually think a lot of people do because they don't want to accept the fact that we are in these characters. I think that every college student or I'm not a college student, so any person under the age of 30 needs to read this book, especially if they're having personal issues with themselves. They need to read this book because it teaches you how to accept yourself, how to accept other people, and how to be okay with it. So, in conclusion, this book is, I would say, if it's like on a 5-star rating, this book is definitely like an 8 or 9 out of 10 stars. This book, you just need to go out and buy. I will rarely say go out and buy a book full price, like go online, look for this book, but go online, look for this book. Like right now, like after you're done with this video, go buy this book. This book will have you smiling, it'll have you laughing out loud at the things he does. There's times where I was so mad at this book and some of the characters, I threw this book, threw it. I don't do that with books. Books are like my children. I don't throw them. But this book will put you through the ringers. And when you're done, if you've read Catcher in the Rye, you will just be like, I feel like I am 15 again, stuck in my English class, reading Catcher in the Rye. So, like I said, guys, I will be doing a lot of book reviews over the next few days, and that is probably the best one I'm going to have, because that is the best book I've read in a long time. So I will see you at the next video. Hope you guys have a good day. Bye.